That's about all I wanted to show in terms of SolidWorks. I think we have a little bit of time, so I will talk about PDM a little bit here. And Tanner, feel free to interrupt me if I'm going a little bit too far off topic.
We're so far so
Um,
good.
so, like I said, we integrate with PDM as well. I don't have a demo ad in here, but I will talk through what can be done. So we can add, it's similar to SolidWorks. We can add commands to these menus here. We can add commands to the context, so the right click, and then we can add custom tabs here. So when we do an ERP integration for a company that uses SolidWorks and PDM, there's always a discussion if you should put the user interface inside of SolidWorks like this or in PDM here. Both work. There's pros and cons to both. So, like I said, it's a discussion, and it usually comes down to the culture and workflow in that specific company. We do have a preference, but like I said, it comes down to company specifics. So, the interface in here, just like in the SolidWorks task pane, can be fully custom. It's context sensitive, so it knows which file or files are selected. So, ERP integrations are pretty powerful here. A lot of things we do in PDM are actually via task add-ins. So I should explain, this is the PDM administration interface for those that aren't familiar. We distribute custom functionality in most cases via add-ins, which you load in here. We can also use the PDM API externally. So I referenced that a little when I in this demonstration app. So for example here, something like this would probably have a settings interface where you would specify which PDM vault to use, and then it will log in with the active user, and we can read and write values to the database. So that's a standalone app that uses the PDM API, but add-ins themselves can modify PDM's functionality directly. So something we do a lot is called a task add-in. If you're a PDM administrator, you're probably familiar with the SolidWorks task add-in that allows you to create tasks to publish a drawing to a PDF, for an example, as part of a workflow. We can create custom tasks that can do pretty much anything. So if you want to publish to a file type that's not supported, you want to export data automatically to a ERP whenever a file is released, you want to run some design for manufacturing checks, etc., as part of your workflow, we can create a task add-in that does that. I actually do have an example here. So this is one that we sell. It's a very simple one. So once that's loaded in, the way it functions is you go here, you create new task, you select your task add-in. So this is all default PDM so far. And then I'm selecting a custom add-in here. And most of this is default PDM, but we can add custom interfaces here. So this is custom. We can add as many tabs here as are necessary. And this will be, custom settings for this add-in. So this one, in this case, it's you specify a macro to run against SolidWorks files. So we developed this quite a few times for different companies and then turned it into a product so we could just distribute it. This is part of the SolidWorks partner program, so we can distribute it in that manner. But yeah, you just specify your file path, module, and procedure, and this demonstrates what a module and a procedure is as a macro. The use case for this is if you have a macro you end up running a lot on your SolidWorks files already, and you want to just make it part of your release workflow, this lets you do that. So you specify the macro, and then you can either run it as a context menu, a task, you can run it via scheduling. There's a few different options there. So again, this interface here is custom. We can add as many tabs with as many settings as you need for a custom task to run.